Hey guys, my name is Michael, and today we're discussing about DK Oyster Bar, one of the greatest scams, greatest well-known scams in Greece and all of Mykonos. This restaurant charges you $500 for a salad and a beer, or $1,600 for two main dishes and wine, or $700 for a cheese board that's like $250 or $300 and then wine. And if you're just getting one cheap cocktail, $140. $140. The scam is you come on in, it's right next to the beach. Free chair with food or drink. Just buy food or drink, and then you buy it, and then boom, they don't have prices listed. So they take you to this back room, and suddenly before you know it, hey, here's a €400 or €700 bill, and you have to pay for it, or else we're going to gang up on you. We're going to call the police. You're never returning home. We know where you live. And that's literally what they say. And there's a lot of woman tourists out there, and then they take 5 of their big burliest cooks, and they're blocking the door, and you're like, you gotta pay. And all these elderly tourists are, oh my God, and they pay, and then they cry, and then some of them get lawyers involved, and nothing gets done, and this has been going on for years. You can check out the Yelp reviews, Google reviews, everybody's saying they're getting scammed, and wait till you buy the oysters, then that's hundreds of euros. So, guys, there's a very simple technique. You can pay it, but you won't get scammed. You want to know the best method as a tourist, especially as an American tourist, especially if you have American Express, which has 0% fees on the Platinum card for all travel abroad, and one of the best chargeback policies out there. So, that is the strategy. We're a personal finance channel. We're a crypto channel. We talk about money. And one of my favorite topics is chargebacks, because this is a huge thing that happens out there. You're going to get scammed. One day, believe it or not, you are going to get scammed by a company or by a cab driver or by someone who wants to take advantage of you as a tourist abroad. You will get scammed. Before you know it, you might be out $100. You might be out $10,000. What do? Do you cry? Do you buy a lawyer, pay more money, waste more money? No, you do a chargeback. This is coming from an individual who was scammed in Poland for a rental car company. And I lost over $1,000. And you know what? I regretted not using a credit card, because I could have easily charged that back. And even with a debit card, not using a card, I paid in cash. That was my worst mistake. But that guy eventually went to prison. He was arrested because we had 100 other people who were scammed for even larger sums than I was. And we all got together. We reported him to the police. And before you know it, he got sentenced. So, guys, let's talk about chargeback policies and how this can be very important and it can help you save money. Okay, so when it comes to this situation, first of all, look at Google reviews, because anything under 2.5 is pretty terrible. Anything under 3, anything usually under 4.5, I'm pretty upset. I've been to restaurants, and anything with food that if it's 4.8, 4.7, of course it's subjective. There's been some pretty terrible 4.7 and 4.8s. Now, most businesses over 4.5 are doing pretty good. Not all, but most. Any fast food restaurant, you're going to mostly notice Subway, McDonald's, KFC, all that stuff, right around 3, 3.5. Maybe if it's over 4, fantastic, but there's a lot of complaints. So certain industries take it with. So when it comes to a restaurant, especially one with $4 signs, it's probably best to look at reviews. And on Yelp, pretty much everywhere, they're terrible. So shame on the people who are going there. However, if it comes to the point that they're threatening you and the cops aren't doing anything, and obviously this is very corrupt, it's been going on for a long time, they're making a ton of money. When I was in Greece, when I was in Athens, I was in an apartment that I was with a local friend, and she told me that the average person makes, 500 euros or even less. And some of these places are a couple hundred euros, and that's that. And 500 euro dinner, they're making a ton of money. If they're making this off of 50 people every couple of hours, tons of money. And some might charge back, but most, like a lot of these elderly citizens that are complaining to the Daily Mail, well, they're just like, oh, I lost my money. When it comes to chargebacks, You can first of all have a chargeback through the credit card that you're using, and then the second wave is the credit card processor, and there's usually a bunch of reasons. One of the most applicable reasons for this case scenario would be the merchant provides a service that is not as described, or something's different about it, of course. In this case, a service was provided, so you can't say there was no service provided, or it's a fraudulent transaction, or whatever other reason out there. Incorrect account number, didn't receive package, fraudulent, not present card transaction. In this case, the service was not as described. And then you can say that you were scammed. And you can go into details that the service had no pricing whatsoever, and you were coerced into this transaction. This was a fraudulent transaction due to the fact that it was not as described. And in many cases, you will win. There's some processors and credit card companies like Discover where it's probably best to avoid them. There's some banks that are terrible with this, but one of the best is American Express. I've used American Express, used Chase. Chase is still pretty good. Not in all cases, but pretty good. Discover was one of the worst. I had to fight for a $60 transaction, and they kind of messed up my credit score, but everything went back to normal. I was able to get my money back. There's a lot of scammers out there, and chargebacks are extremely vital. Now, if your bank refuses, you can always contact Visa or MasterCard. The only problem is you have to do this in a specific time frame. If you don't, well, then at that point, it's too late. Anywhere from 90 days to sometimes 120, sometimes even as long as 180. It really depends on the reason, depends on the bank, depends on the credit card processor. So it's best to look up exactly where you are. But this is applicable in America, this is applicable in Canada, this is applicable in Poland, in Europe. There's a lot of countries where this will work for you. For all the customers that went here, if you paid in cash, well, not much you can do. Maybe file a police report, but obviously they don't care. So lesson learned, just as I've learned my lesson when I got scammed by a rental car company. It is what it is, right? But now I use cards almost always, and you're always able to charge back. Credit is easier to charge back, but debit, depending on the bank, of course, depending on the bank. So that's that for today's video. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day and take care. Bye.